In a world where cinema reigns supreme, join us on an epic journey through the silver screen. Welcome to What's New with Stu, a movie review, with your host Dave Stewart, a video podcast where every frame tells a story. Get ready for insights, laughs, and film debates. From blockbusters to hidden gems, we've got it all covered. Lights, camera, action. It's time for What's New with Stu, a movie review. And now your host, David F. Stewart. This week's episode, Plane, Trains, and Automobiles.
Gobble, gobble.
Del. Why did you kiss my ear?
Why are you holding my hand?
Where's your other hand?
Between two pillows.
Those aren't pillows!
In the immortal words of the late great Benny Hill. Good evening, viewers. Good evening, all. Welcome to another episode of What's New with Stu, a movie review. And this episode, I am dedicating it to a good friend of mine, Jimmy Whitmarsh, a childhood friend. So, Jim, 50 years we've known each other. And after he saw my podcast on Blazing Saddles, he wanted me to do a review of the classic comedy 1987's Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, written and directed by John Hughes and starring Steve Martin and John Candy. And for those of you who have never seen this film, it's a classic comedy. It's one of the greatest road comedies ever made, no doubt. But it's a buddy film, but it takes a while to get to that point. Mainly because Steve Martin is resistant of becoming, even being anywhere near the John Candy character. The film has become a classic Thanksgiving Day film. In fact, if you think of Thanksgiving Day movies, there aren't a hell of a lot. Compared to Christmas, which has got like 1 million on this side, Holly Hunter did a movie, Home for the Holidays, which was a Thanksgiving Day film, and that was a good movie. But for the most part, Thanksgiving is one of those holidays in terms of Hollywood that isn't really, they don't get a lot of their due time. But this is definitely, if you had to rate the greatest Thanksgiving Day movie of all time, even though it doesn't even really go near Thanksgiving's actual day until the end of the film. So Plane, Trains, and Automobiles is a 1987 American road trip comedy. It tells the story of Neil, an uptight marketing executive, and Del, a well-meaning but annoying salesman, who become travel companions when their flight is diverted and embark on a 3-day odyssey of misadventures trying to reach Chicago in time for Neil's Thanksgiving Day dinner with his family. The film was released on November 25th, 1987 to critical acclaim, with many praising it for Hughes' branching out from teen comedies and for Candy and Martin's performances. It was also a box office success, earning $49.5 million on a $15 million budget. And watching the film has since become a Thanksgiving Day tradition for many. Now, what I love about this film, a couple of things. Steve Martin, who at the time was really getting his film career going. I mean, him and Candy had been doing movies for a while. I mean, obviously, Martin started with The Jerk in 1979.
Navin, you're not our natural-born child. You were left on our doorstep. But we raised you like you were one of us.
You mean I'm gonna stay this color?
I'd love you if you were the color of a baboon's ass.
And Candy, he had been in some smaller films, being that he was from Canada. His first big film was Stripes with Bill Murray in 1981.
My name's Dewey Oxburger. My friends call me Ox. You might have noticed I've got a slight weight problem.
No.
Yeah, I do.
No.
Yeah, I do. Anyway, I went to this doctor, and he told me I swallowed a lot of aggression, along with a lot of pizzas. Pizzas.
So they had both been around for a while, and here we are at the end of the 80s, and they make a movie together, and they are so good. John Candy does this role so well of Del. He sells curtain rings, the rings for the shop. What a job, right? And he's just this, just a nice guy, wants to talk to you. He just loves to talk to people. He likes to make friends. You know, he kind of talks a lot, which kind of reminds me of myself, going on. And you have Steve Martin, the cynical person, and their relationship is very, very interesting. There's a lot of very funny scenes in the film.
My dogs are barking today. Whew. Oh. That feels better.
You're going the wrong way!
What?
What the hell are you driving here?
We had a small fire last night, but we caught it in the nick of time.
You have any idea how fast you were going?
Funnily enough, I was just talking to my friend about that. Our speedometer's melted, and as a result, it's very hard to say with any degree of accuracy exactly how fast we were going.
78 miles an hour.
78, huh? Well, yeah, I could buy that. Sure, I guess. You would know better than us, especially since we got a melted speedometer.
Give it back! I can't! Why not? Because why?
Because when we stopped the gas up, I put the card back in your wallet. Are you mad at me?
You know, the film is rated R, and that's really because of one scene. Now, you get an R rating in films for a lot of reasons. Excessive violence, sexual scenes, and believe it or not, the use of the F word. I don't know if many people realize that you can get away with a lot of language in films, but if you use the F word, especially excessively, you'll get a slap with the R rating. The King's Speech, which won Best Picture, there was a scene where King George V, played by Colin Firth, just goes off in a tirade. He says the F word because he's a stutterer, and he gets upset.
Do you know the F word?
Fornication?
Oh, Bertie.
Fuck. Fuck! 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 Fucking fuck! Fuck! Fucking bugger! 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 Buggity! 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 Fuck! Fuck! Arse!
Yes.
Balls! Balls! Fucking
You see?
shit,
Not a
shit,
hesitation.
Fuck, and willy! Shit and fuck and tits.
That got an R rating because of that scene, which is so ridiculous. The King's Speech is based on a true event or true times about this character and what he had to go through. It's a great history lesson. It's a great movie for people to watch, to learn, and it should be shown in schools. And because of this one scene, because he's human and he goes off by saying the F word. Well, Plane, Trains, and Automobiles has a similar scene. Because if you watch the film, you're like, how is this rated R? How? What? And there's a scene, and it's one of the classic scenes in the film, where Steve Martin, something happens with his rental for his car, and he goes up to where he rents the cars, and the woman that plays the secretary in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, she's very funny. You've seen her in a few films. She's, remaining calm, and she's very sweet. We've all seen people like this. Martin is ready to blow a gasket, and he basically comes in there.
Welcome to Marathon. May I help you?
You can start by wiping that fucking dumbass smile off your rosy fucking cheeks.
I really don't care for the way you're speaking to me.
And I really don't care for the way your company left me in the middle of fucking nowhere with fucking keys to a fucking car that isn't fucking there. And I really didn't care to fucking walk down a fucking highway and across a fucking runway to get back here to have you smile at my fucking face. I want a fucking car right fucking now.
May I see your rental agreement?
I threw it away.
Boy.
Oh boy, what?
You're fucked.
That's one of the great scenes in the film. The scene where Martin is putting up with Candy and he's listening to his stories, and finally he just snaps. He can't take it anymore, and he has this little soliloquy, if you want to call it that, examining the situation between his relationship with Candy at the moment.
And someone who'll listen to your boring stories. I mean, didn't you notice on the plane when you started talking, eventually I started reading the vomit bag? Didn't that give you some sort of clue, like, hey, maybe this guy's not enjoying it? It's like going on a date with a chatty Cathy doll. So I expect you to have a little string on your chest, that I pull out and have to snap back. Except I wouldn't pull it out and snap it back. You would. And by the way, when you're telling these little stories, here's a good idea. Have a point. It makes it so much more interesting for the listener.
That's, again, a scene that's very realistic. What I love about Martin's performances is that he had never done anything quite like this, because Martin, he did a lot of silly comedies even after The Jerk, but he started getting a little more serious. Now, don't forget, this movie came out before Father of the Bride, which is, again, a comedy too, but Father of the Bride, he's playing it very serious. His daughter's getting married and he's, not thrilled about it. But he made the movie Roxanne the same year he made Plane, Trains, and Automobiles. Now, Roxanne is one of my favorite movies of all time, and one of my good friends, Lou, who passed away last December, an homage to Lou up there, because he loved that movie too, Roxanne.
Quite a hood ornament you got there, pal. Here it comes. 3D coming at you.
He wrote Roxanne, which is a comedy, kind of a play off the Cyrano de Bergerac story about a man in love with a woman, but he's got a large nose and he has to use someone else to show his love by, he writes the words for the other guy to say to this woman, and because he can't confront her himself, he's too ashamed of his nose or whatever. Roxanne and Plane, Trains, and Automobiles, two completely different performances, yet they're both comedies, but Martin really showing range here. One's a romantic comedy, and we're buying that, even though his nose is completely out to here. And the other one about a cynical man who, for whatever reason, he is the way he is. I believe he loves his family and his wife. We don't really see a scene with him until the end of the movie, but he is who he is. Maybe it's his work, his job. We've all been there. So after spending time with John Candy's character, the once cynical Martin is now more accepting of people, and he seems to be a changed man. But after parting ways at the train station, as Martin goes his separate ways from Candy, he starts reflecting on their experiences, and in a flashback sequence of images, he realizes that something's not right, that John Candy may be all alone in this world, that maybe his wife is not around anymore, and he was just pretending that she is because he misses her, and she passed away and he didn't want to be without anybody, so he pretends she's alive. So he goes back to the train station where he had left them. Candy's still sitting there. And the ending, let's say you're going to cry, but some people have little tears in their eyes as Martin becomes kind of a changed person and decides to take this man and invite him to see his family on Thanksgiving. It's a really nice ending to a very, very funny movie. So I highly recommend Plane, Trains, and Automobiles. It's probably going to be on, I don't know if TBS shows it, but Thanksgiving's in a couple of weeks. That's why I wanted to do this quick review on it. And a little tribute to John Hughes, who directed and wrote this film. Of course, known for his teen comedies, which was whether it's 16 Candles, Pretty in Pink, The Breakfast Club, which is one of my favorite films of all time, and of course Ferris Bueller's Day Off, which I should do a review on that because that's a classic film. So go see Plane, Trains, and Automobiles, and as the late great Benny Hill would say, goodbye all. See you next time. We'll see you at the movies. A reminder, if you like what you see, to hit that like and subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the bell icon so you don't miss future notifications.